Kacholani channel. Day 52. Some of our bodies and minds are wilting. We are going through what we call PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. The irony of PTSD is if you look at the word P, which stands for post-trauma. Unfortunately, our trauma isn't ending. It's ongoing. The pandemic continues. But many of us are displaying classic symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. We are constantly paranoid, as if the virus is all over us. Many of us are unable to sleep, unable to concentrate. We are constantly irritable and having angry moods. Besides, of course, not having anything really positive to look forward to. And many of us in these conditions are finding our own ways of coping. In these distressing times, many of us are finding comfort or what we call tender loving care in different ways and different methods. The most common, if you've seen in the recent past, is via our taste buds. Food. If you notice, many of us are cooking up exotic meals, taking photos of them, uploading them on Facebook, Twitter, Insta. Part of the problem, or rather, part of the reason that we may be doing so would be, of course, that many of us are being compelled to cook our own meals. Besides, taking photographs reinforces the comments and the positive vibes that we get. All humans thrive on reinforcement, and one of the reasons for us putting up those pictures is to feel that we are able to accomplish. Another reason for us cooking and giving ourselves tender loving care via our taste buds is something what we call comfort food. Yes, food can be a very, very comforting phenomenon in these distressing times. I'll just put it out there very simply and explain how food becomes a comfort because of certain centers in the brain. So, in normal days when we eat, insulin is released in the blood and the food is processed and made into glucose. This processing of food and releasing glucose sends a signal to the hypothalamus, a part of the feeding center of the brain, which tells us stop eating. However, in these distressing times, insulin is being manufactured in enormous amounts and the nerves are being desensitized to insulin. The hypothalamus, therefore, is not receiving any signal from the brain to stop eating. Why is that? Because another aspect of the brain, the amygdala, which is responsible for processing emotional distress, particularly emotions like anxiety and depression, releases a molecule which stimulates eating. This molecule, because it stimulates eating, throws up more and more insulin into the brain, and the brain is not able to recognize that insulin has been released. What happens therefore? Because the hypothalamus does not receive the order, stop eating, we continue to eat. Comfort food is nothing but a way of coping with trauma. And the brain, because it's not signaling to us when we should stop eating, is continuing to gorge and take care of trauma in its own way. So yes, many of us are going to come out much, much bigger after this pandemic. Now let's look at another aspect of coping with trauma. If you recollect, a few weeks ago, when liquor shops opened, many of us commented on these alcoholics, people standing in queues, waiting to buy their quota of liquor. And we judged them, we condemned them, we moralized about the fact that how could they even consider going out to buy alcohol. They forgot that alcohol does to the brain what food also does. Endorphins are released by the brain when there is trauma. Endorphins numb physical and mental pain. Who knows, maybe the people who stood in line to buy their quota of drink were not able to get enough endorphins because of the trauma that they were experiencing. That means they needed much more external endorphins to make them feel slightly calmer and slightly in control. Why? Because the amount of trauma that they experience because of job losses, because of bankruptcies, because of financial distress, because of constantly living in absolutely pathetic conditions, constrained and restricted all the time, an additional endorphin boost would be given by alcohol. So instead of judging and condemning those people who stood in line, maybe we need to understand the role of endorphins in numbing physical and mental anguish. So the brain copes with trauma with comfort food and with alcohol. It numbs the senses, it dulls our pain, it takes care of our emotional anguish, and we are using our own tender loving methods to cope. But why is all this trauma occurring? Because day 52 and counting, there is a phenomenon which is taking us all, and that is called universal helplessness. In universal helplessness, people believe that these circumstances now are beyond their control and they have no way to really manage anything anymore. So they give up and they decide to do what's best for them, to take care of themselves, either via food or via alcohol. And it is the tender loving care that they decide to give themselves. It is important that we accept, embrace, and support them in their own ways of coping, because there is no right or wrong way to cope with trauma. Each one finds his or her own best way. Stay well, stay safe, more importantly, stay home, and do tune in to the Varkha Chulani channel next Friday. Thank you for watching. All good wishes. I hope you and your family members remain well. Take care and goodbye.